Do not go to Christmas markets in Europe without watching this video first, because trust me, there are tons of common beginner mistakes that first-timers make that will cost you time, money, and stress. So be sure to watch until the end, and I promise your trip will be much better for it. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com. And this channel is all about practical travel tips from someone who's been there, done that, so be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. After living in Germany for over 5 years, I have learned firsthand a lot of the common mistakes that people make, so I hope you enjoy learning all about them. The first mistake is simply doing your research only in English. So from personal experience, what I've really found is that unless we're talking about the biggest, most popular Christmas markets, 99% of the time, the local language version of the website is going to be way more up to date, it's going to have more detail, and is just overall better quality and more informative. Whereas sometimes the English pages don't get updated until much later in the year, or they just don't give you as much detail as they would in the local language version. So a really great trick to use if you're struggling to find information about the Christmas market that you're researching is simply using Google Translate to search up what you're looking for, and then using Google Translate again to translate the information that you find on local language pages. I personally love using Google Chrome for this just because that browser has an inbuilt translator. So when you go on a website where the language isn't English, you can just right-click and press Translate to English, and then everything will translate automatically. Another mistake to avoid is just blindly trusting the dates and information that you find online. Christmas market dates in Europe don't only vary from market to market and city to city. They also tend to vary year to year just because most of the time they're anchored around specific events like Advent weekends or days of the week. So for instance, sometimes a market will start on the last Friday of November. That's why every single year the dates tend to be just a little bit different, which is why you really want to be careful because unfortunately there are a lot of third-party websites out there that get a little bit lazy and all they do is just change the year, or maybe they'll just take the dates off of another third-party website and then that's how misinformation spreads. And because dates do change every year, it's very easy for a lot of websites to become outdated very quickly. So whenever I'm doing research for Christmas markets, I always triple check and make sure I'm either looking at the official source, whether that's the tourism website or maybe the official website of that Christmas market in particular, or I'm at least looking at a website that cites their sources and then links out to an official page so that you can double check. Because you don't want to be caught out going on the wrong dates. Now, the next mistake to avoid is assuming that Christmas markets are open every day. So very often what you'll find is that Christmas market dates are given in a block of time. So let's say from November 29th until December 24th. Unfortunately, this gives the impression that the market is going to be open every single day during that time period, but unfortunately that often isn't the case. Some smaller markets might have certain days off, like they're not open on Monday or Tuesday, and some even smaller markets will only be open on specific dates, whether that's one weekend or the Advent weekends. So when you're doing your research, don't just look at the block of dates on the official website. Make sure you're also looking for a page that says operating hours or something like that, and that's where you're going to find more information about which dates it might be closed, and also what times they're open. Now, related to this is another super common mistake, and that's assuming that Christmas market dates are consistent across one destination. So oftentimes people talk about Christmas markets in each city like there's only one. So people will be like, oh, the Berlin Christmas market is amazing. When in reality, a city like Berlin does actually have 60+ different markets throughout the season. So it's not really just one event. It's actually several different markets scattered across the city. As a result of that, because it is different organizers and different events, the dates are also going to be different. So you can't just assume that because all the Christmas markets are in one city, that they're all going to be open for the same dates. So definitely make sure you are looking at the specific event pages for the markets you're interested in, because oftentimes, even when there is overlap, the dates can be slightly different. Now, speaking of specific markets, another mistake to avoid is only visiting the biggest, most popular markets that you've already heard of. So the truth is, especially in countries where the Christmas market tradition is really popular, like in Central Europe, for instance, almost every single village, town, city is going to have their own Christmas market, if not multiple. And so it's really important, if you want to have a well-rounded experience, that you diversify your Christmas market experience a little bit by not just visiting the big Christmas markets in big cities, but also checking out some of the smaller ones. Because based on my personal experience, often you'll find these smaller ones are cozier, cuter, and overall it's just a nice way to kind of add something a little bit different to your itinerary. And if you want help with that, I do have a complete Christmas market itinerary video coming out next week that has lots of different itinerary ideas, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. Now, in terms of finding these smaller markets, I find that searching in the local language can be really helpful, especially when you're looking at local newspapers and things. You'll be able to find a lot of these smaller events, and regional tourism board websites tend to be quite helpful for that as well. Now, moving on, another big mistake to avoid is forgetting to buy mobile data access, because that's definitely super important for a Christmas market trip for things like navigation, translation, and a bunch of other things. And for that, I definitely recommend getting an eSIM. So on that note, this week's video is brought to you by Airlo, my go-to eSIM provider that has options for over 200 countries and regions around the world, including, of course, Europe, making it very easy for you to hop from market to market and country to country during Christmas market season. While once upon a time you would have had to buy an expensive roaming package or rely on a cumbersome physical SIM card, these days eSIMs offer a fully digital solution for optimal convenience. For those who haven't used one, eSIM stands for Embedded SIM, meaning they're pre-installed on your device and work 100% digitally to connect you with local telecom networks. Meaning you have data access as soon as you land, which is of course ideal for many things, including getting into the city. All you have to do is download the Airlo app, browse and purchase your eSIM of choice, and then follow their easy step-by-step instructions to install your eSIM. After that, it's ready to use as soon as you arrive. So if you're ready to try Airlo out, be sure to scan this QR code right here to download the app and use this code to save off of your first purchase. You can also check out my complete Airlo guide for step-by-step instructions on how to install your eSIM. So thanks again to Airlo for sponsoring this week's video. Now let's move on to our next mistake, which is getting duped by mass-produced goods. Unfortunately, these days, especially at some of the very busy, popular touristy markets, you're going to find certain vendors that are selling mass-produced products that you'll be able to find at many stalls and are not actually handmade or artisanal, even though they might present it in a way that implies it is. So if avoiding these mass-produced goods is something that is important to you, I do have a few tips to offer. First, instead of committing to buy something right away, maybe do a few laps around that market or around a few different markets, because then you're going to start to see which stalls are selling the same recurring things, and then you're going to be better able to spot which things are probably mass-produced. Another good trick is looking out for things that are local to that region, because oftentimes if it's a local specialty, it's much less likely to be manufactured abroad or mass-produced. A lot of cities will also have specific handmade markets that are meant to showcase local artisans, so be sure to look out for those as well. You can also look out for things like business cards and signs that list the name of a specific maker or craftsperson. Often that's quite a good sign as well. Another major mistake to avoid is only visiting on weekends or peak periods. The unfortunate truth about Christmas market season is that it is incredibly busy, not just with tourists, but also with locals. So if you want to minimize crowds and actually be able to enjoy the markets, then one of the best life hacks as a tourist is to make sure you're not visiting when all the locals are visiting. So avoiding weekends is a really good bet for that, as well as going during the day, for instance, if you're trying to shop, rather than trying to shop at night after work when all the locals are there as well, trying to get their Glühwein fix after a long day at work. So generally what my system is I'll go shopping during the day, because again, that's when you're going to actually be able to look at the stalls and browse rather than be just stuck in a big crowd of people. And then at night, when it's a bit more atmospheric, that's when I'll go back and maybe have a mulled wine, kind of enjoy the vibes there and get some food, rather than stress myself out trying to shop when there's a million people trying to do the same thing. Next on the list is forgetting cash, or depending on where you go, forgetting card. So that might sound confusing, but let me clarify. A lot of the time when people talk about Europe, they kind of talk about it as if it's this one big monolith where everything is the same across the entire continent, but that's actually not the case. So whether you need cash or card will depend on where specifically in Europe you are going. So I would say generally if you're going to the more traditional Christmas market areas like around Central Europe in Germany, Switzerland, France, and Austria, cash is still very much king. So you're gonna want to have quite a bit of cash, especially if you are buying things like mulled wine and food. Usually cash is what they use for the deposits on your mugs and things like that. But if you're enjoying a Nordic Christmas trip, like if you're going up to Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, oftentimes card is actually the preferred method. A lot of the time you'll find stalls don't actually even accept cash. And this is also quite common in the UK as well. So definitely tailor your research based on where specifically you're going, rather than going based off of generic Europe travel tips. Now in terms of packing, another mistake to avoid is forgetting to dress in layers. On any Christmas market trip, trust me, there's going to be tons of different fluctuations in body temperature. Whether you're going from the warm hotel out into the winter cold, or maybe hopping off a bus or off a tram into the winter cold, you're gonna be constantly going in and out of different temperatures. All to say, if you wanna be comfortable, you should make sure you're dressing in layers that are quite easy to put on and remove, and then that way you can adjust your temperature based on where you are. Generally, when I'm layering for Christmas markets, what I'll do is I'll have a thermal base layer top that looks all right on its own. So if I had to remove my top layers, I would still look okay. And then I would usually wear a sweater on top of that. In colder places, I might layer on a puffy down vest as well, and then one big puffy jacket on top. Usually for the top layer, you want to have something that's going to be waterproof and with a hood, because weather is generally speaking quite unpredictable during the winter, so you have to be prepared for all the different elements. But yes, I will be publishing a packing guide to Christmas markets in 2 weeks' time, so again, be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. And let me know in the comments as well what you tend to pack for Christmas markets, what your go-to outfit is, so you can help out your fellow travelers. All right, another mistake to avoid is forgetting a tote bag. So oftentimes when you are shopping at Christmas markets, a lot of the shop owners aren't going to be giving you big bags. Usually if you're just buying something small like an ornament, they'll wrap up that ornament, but they won't generally have a bunch of bags to give out. So I always find it's a good idea to bring a tote bag or some kind of carrier bag so that you have something really easy to put all your purchases in. This can also be really helpful if you've got things like gloves and scarves that you want to layer up and down with. If you have a tote, it's easy to just throw those gloves in the bag, throw the scarf in the bag, rather than having to constantly put it in your day bag and take it back out again. Another mistake to avoid is not trying the regional specialties and only going for the generic must-tries. So to me, one of the most exciting things about visiting Christmas markets in different destinations is getting a chance to try some of the regional specialties that they are known for. So I think with Christmas market foods, a lot of the time people automatically jump to mulled wine, think about crispy potato pancakes and sausages and things like that. And while I can confirm those things are amazing and so worth trying, one of the really fun things about going to different Christmas markets is trying different foods that you might not be able to find at other markets. So when you're doing research, make sure you're also looking at specific specialties of the place that you're going to, and that way you can kind of diversify your Christmas market food and drink experience rather than just trying regular mulled wine and sausages everywhere you go. Not that there's really anything wrong with that. On that note, another common mistake is forgetting sanitizer and sanitizer wipes. A lot of classic Christmas market foods are not only handheld, but also very sticky. So even though a lot of stalls will have napkins, it does make sense to carry some sanitizer and some sanitizer wipes with you, just because you want to sanitize before you eat. And also you'll need something a little bit extra to wipe off all the sticky stuff off your hands. Now, another food and drink mistake to avoid is assuming that the price you see on the price list is the price that you're going to pay. So oftentimes at Christmas markets, especially with anything that's served in a reusable vessel like a mug or a plate, oftentimes they'll charge a deposit on that mug or plate to make sure that you bring it back. So usually this deposit is going to be added on top of the price that you see. So if your mulled wine says it's going to be €3, you can often expect a deposit of at least €2, so they might charge you €5 at the time and give you a little token, and then you'll get your extra €2 deposit back when you return your mug with the token. So keep this in mind, they're not trying to scam you if the price is a little bit different than what you see, that's just the deposit. And make sure you hang on to any tokens or anything that they give you, because sometimes they won't give you your deposit back unless you bring back the mug as well as the token, because otherwise people are just gonna go around swiping mugs to make a profit. And definitely don't make the mistake of assuming you're gonna have a seat when you want to eat at a Christmas market. A lot of the time, Christmas markets actually are standing room only, so they'll have tables that look like this, where you kind of perch and eat in a very quick fashion. Again, this depends on the specific market, but a lot of the time they won't have dedicated seating areas, certainly not very large ones where you can sit down and actually enjoy your meal. So if you are someone that wants to have a sit-down experience, do definitely look into restaurants because Christmas markets often won't offer that. That said, most Christmas market foods are very portable, so it might be a good idea to look into any public parks or anything close by where you can have a nice Christmas market picnic. Or at the very least, a bench to sit on. Finally, it's a simple one, but the last mistake you want to avoid is not planning ahead. Christmas market season is definitely a peak season to be visiting certain European destinations, and hotels and flights are going to be at their most expensive. So it's definitely a good idea to be planning well in advance. All right, thank you so much. Let me know in the comments if you have any more tips for your fellow travelers, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. I'll see you next time. Bye.